In this series, we're talking about Jesus' promise about getting the most out of life and what it means to be a party starter. A party is any effort to celebrate, serve, or enjoy others in a way that adds value to life. And being a party starter means being someone who helps make that happen. As a follower of Jesus, we may think that a party starter needs to have all the answers. It's easy to feel like we have to know all the answers about everything, like how to do the latest challenge or dance on TikTok, or who's the best NBA player of all time, or even what we think about an important event or issue happening in our world. When we don't have these answers, we tend to hide that we don't know the answer because we don't want others to think that we're not as smart or old enough to understand. We might even go along with other people's ideas, opinions, and answers so we don't stand out for not knowing. Sometimes we might even act like we know it all and answer even if we don't know if it's right or not. When we respond in these ways, we end up not asking questions, not being open to changing our minds, and not admitting that we're unsure. We become the opposite of a party starter when we do this. We can become somebody who knows, assumes, and defends. We show that we have strong feelings, thoughts, and opinions that aren't open to change. When we do this, we stop being curious, we stop wandering, we don't ask questions, and we ignore wisdom, advice, and options and opinions from others. This keeps us from experiencing that full life that Jesus promised. What we can do besides knowing, assuming, and defending when we don't know answers, what else is there to do? Well, there comes some truth from Luke, who documented Jesus' life, including his birth, childhood, teenage years. And when Jesus was a preteen, he traveled with his parents, Mary and Joseph, to Jerusalem for the Passover holiday. After celebrating Passover, Mary and Joseph had been traveling home for a full day when they realized Jesus was nowhere to be seen. Mary and Joseph searched for Jesus for the 2-day and eventually found him in the temple, asking the religious leaders questions and listening to their answers. The conversation went like this. His parents didn't know what to think. "Son," his mother said to him, "why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been frantic, searching for you everywhere." "But why did you need to search?" Jesus asked them. "Didn't you know that I must be in my Father's house?" But they didn't understand what he meant. See, Mary and Joseph and Jesus headed back to Nazareth, and Luke wrote, "And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and man." Jesus spent his time trying to learn by asking questions and listening to the wisdom of others. Even as a preteen, Jesus probably didn't have to listen to anyone to learn. He was God in human form. While Jesus probably already had all the answers, he still made an effort to learn from others. He modeled for us how to live. Jesus showed us how we can be curious and honest and ask others when we don't know something. A party starter knows there is always something to learn from someone else. What's cool is that Jesus continued to set this example for us throughout his whole life and ministry. Over 20 years later, in Jesus' most famous sermon he ever gave, he taught us what it means to live a full life that God promises. In it, he said this, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find it. Knock on the door and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be opened." Now, just before this, Jesus was talking about humility. Humility is putting others first by giving up what you think you deserve. Jesus was encouraging his followers to stop judging and to take on more humility than ignorance and arrogance. So, it could be that Jesus told us exactly what to ask, seek, and knock for in these verses. He asks for humility. We seek answers through curiosity and questions. We knock looking for wisdom, and we find these things, we will receive them. That's what I want to challenge you to do this week. Instead of acting like you know, assuming like you know, and defending what you know, try to ask to see what others know. Try to seek what others have and knock to receive. What if we stop living and behaving like we had it all figured out? What if instead we start asking questions? Questions like, what can I learn from you about this? What can I do differently because I don't know everything? What might I be getting wrong? What am I curious to know more about? Who is someone I want to learn something new from? Or where do I need to ask, seek, and knock to find wisdom in life? Admitting we don't know everything isn't a sign of weakness or that we're not smart. It shows that we understand it's impossible to know everything. If Jesus spent time learning, growing, and asking questions, shouldn't we do the same? We should find wise people in our lives to learn from, to listen to as we grow in our faith. A party starter knows that there's more to know and so many people to learn from. That the more curious we are, the more exciting people we meet. That it's never a party with people who think they know everything, understand it all, or have life figured out. The party is with people who are more like Jesus, people who know there's always more to learn and more people to learn from. Because a party starter knows that there's always something new to learn that they haven't learned before. And the sooner we begin living this life like we have something to learn, the sooner the world begins to look more like the party that Jesus imagined.